We're into it. It's Barn Burner on Wednesday. Rabbit.
Pinch punch, first of the month.
That's right. Something
Retro,
like that.
the Rhetster.
It's weird. It's weird. I told my wife last night, and she looked at me like I had 7 heads. I said, "You can't catch 2 rabbits." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, if you have to focus on one. You can't catch 2 rabbits at one time. You can't go chasing after 2 things at once. Get one, then move on to the next. You can't catch 2 rabbits." Rabbit.
Okay.
Rabbit. We got a lot to get to today. We're here in the Tower Chrysler studios. Want to say thanks to everybody who dropped by the dealership and dropped off winter clothes during the month of February. Now the February has come and gone. Toques, mitts, hats, all of that.
Awesome.
A big collection put together. It will make its way to the mustard seed, and someone's going to get a lovely little prize, maybe even a couple. It's hard to say, but again,
a couple cars, something like that.
Tower Chrysler doing good things. They are good people. Calgary's favorite Tower Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer in Calgary.
Big shout out to Nikki and Serge and the crew.
Yeah, doing good things.
Yeah,
we got Seravalli coming up in a couple of moments, but
it's not too busy for us today.
Yeah, no.
I guess all the guys have been traded now.
Patrick Kane.
Ooh,
Pat Kane. Just a kind of an observation from last night. Flames lose in overtime. You know what? Controversial. Maybe you could probably pick holes in it. But what I'm thinking is goaltending matters.
Ooh, in this sport,
goaltender.
Back it up.
Very important.
Back it up. How do you come by this after one game?
Small sample.
You're right.
You got to take a bigger look.
It is a small sample size.
I feel like this is a wild overreach.
It's just one game, Dean. Like
one game,
one player. 23 guys on the roster.
That was his career high in saves, man. Yeah. They lose. They were trailing, and then they got back, and then they were leading, and then
it'd be fun to be a Bruins fan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this year be great.
I mean, most of the last 15 years. Yeah, listen,
right?
You know,
get him out.
You'd be light. You get a very unbiased, play it down the middle home broadcast.
Yeah,
and you know that's kind of sucks. You'd like someone to cheer a little more, but yeah, they're doing it here in the twilight of future Hall of Famer Patrice Bergeron, who made a bit of a play on the game winner.
So do they hate Bruce Cassidy?
I feel like you got to bring our guest in if we want more. I don't have any.
All right, NHL insider, our boy Frank Seravalli standing by. It's not they weren't a bad team, but they weren't dominating to this level. We knew that David Krejci wasn't a fan. It sure seemed like Jake DeBrusk was not a fan.
Maybe.
Did they hate Butch Cassidy?
Yes. It was a pure. I don't think anyone thinks he's a bad guy. It was. He's a very sarcastic guy. And so that sarcasm and that constant sort of gnawing at you after a number of years, it wears on you. And so they were a 107-point team last year, and they lost in the first round, and it was time for a change. And so that exact moment in time, you hit on the changes. Krejci, he comes back. Bergeron decides to come back. You've got Jake DeBrusk rescinding a trade request. Like it's a lot of things came together once they replaced Bruce Cassidy with Jim Montgomery. And look, I would never knock anyone's candidacy, but like I don't care. Like, you could have put anyone in to coach that Boston Bruins team, and they would have been better this year than they were last year. I don't think anyone thought that they'd be potentially challenging for an NHL record in points, but nonetheless, like I'm way more intrigued at the changes someone like a Rick Bowness has made in Winnipeg versus the bump that they've gotten from anyone but Bruce in Boston.
Just getting that for the post-show notes. Bruce Cassidy, prick. Frank Seravalli.
So if there's
Look,
other
I'm
teams,
from Philly and I'm a prick, so I can say that. Okay.
Yeah. The card-carrying members get to call each other out.
That's right. Yeah.
So if there was a team with a coach that the players weren't liking, the template would be just get rid of that coach and away you go. Profit.
Well, hold
will
on
be
a
the next-
second. Before we totally rip Bruce Cassidy, look at the success that they've had in Vegas. Like, he's won almost everywhere he's gone. So clearly he's a talented coach as well. Vegas is tied for the division lead after not making the playoffs last year. We knew they'd be, a little bit better if they could be healthier, but still they flew out of the gate once they were healthy this year.
Yeah, he's
It's a bit of a
still.
bit of a backpedal, but all right, Frank. Whatever you need to do there.
Hey, look, it's shelf life with this career, right? This occupation, nobody lasts long.
So was it the Patrick Kane deal? Because you said, "Hey, I'm working on something. Not going to be able to get on the show yesterday." Was it the Kane thing coming together, or what did you hit yesterday?
I don't kiss and tell. You know that.
You did break that deal moments after the show.
So did you break the Kane?
I did, but there was maybe something else or multiple things in the hopper that you just cannot get your fingers on. So let's say there's more in the works over these next 48 hours.
What?
Somebody's left.
Whoa,
I looked at your trade target board yesterday morning, and there was 12 guys on it. And that's after we saw a ton of deals. Timo Meier, Jack Johnson, Niederreiter, Barbashev, Dadonov, Orlov. Like, that was after all those deals. You had 12 guys. 6 of the top 11 gone yesterday.
Way to go.
Yeah. So we're into the weeds here. After Chychrun, who's the next biggest name that you're convinced will move?
Kevin Hayes of the Philadelphia Flyers is one. Look, here's the thing, and I'll give you a couple teams and some names that everyone has been so fascinated with the market that teams that have sort of vaguely been in the mix to either make the playoffs or play meaningful games are saying, well, hold on a second. If this is the price I could get for this guy, we're going to have to really consider that. And so let's look at the Seattle Kraken. Depending on where you get your playoff odds, somewhere between a 77 and 86% shot to make the playoffs. They've accumulated enough that they're probably going to get in. Okay. Can they trade Carson Soucy for a first-round pick and still get in? I think the answer to that is yes. And that's why he's in our top 10 on that trade targets board.
Is he getting first? Tell us more about Soucy.
I think so. Like, he's got the size, he's got the mobility, he's got the cheap cap hit. I think he's someone that, easily sort of rockets up into that, he was, on an entry level deal to 275 and is probably somewhere in the 4 to 4.5 range on his next contract, the sort of Eric Goodbranson kind of comparable. And if Gavrikov's getting a first, like, why wouldn't Soucy be getting a first? So those are the options that this deadline is now presenting to teams that weren't really like going out of their way to be in this position. But okay, so that's Seattle, Detroit, Tyler Bertuzzi, Jacob Vrana, 2 other guys in somewhat similar positions. Maybe a Philip Zadina could be on the move. The Florida Panthers,
funky Cole.
Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett. These are guys with 1 year left on their deal that they don't really want to move. But hey, if you're going to come knock my socks off to get this player, well, then I'm going to do it.
And so I guess on that note, Dean, something that we saw out in the interwebs today.
Tyler Toffoli having a great year. He's not hit career highs in goals. I think he's probably on pace to flirt with it for sure. I think 31 is his career high. He's amid a year where there's been a lot of things that have not gone the Flames' way. He has been very good, very consistent, has been a leader. He has 1 more year. The cap hit is manageable, 4 and change. Is a veteran. He's one of those guys when he's a UFA, he's near the top of that UFA board. Does it make sense? Obviously, it dependent on the return. But does it make sense for Carolina? Seems to be in that mix. Does Carolina need a Tyler Toffoli? Does the Flames would then have to replace him? But is that the biggest concern for the Flames right now if they get a decent offer for Toffoli?
It would be for me because, look, I think one of the biggest, most dangerous games that NHL GMs play is oh my God, how could we lose this guy? And what are we going to do to replace him? The problem is when you have players like Toffoli, like Lindholm, that in this cap world are exceeding value versus what they're being paid, good luck trying to go get that same value for the same, like you end up chasing your tail. You have players that are performing at a level above what they're being paid. And that's hard. That's really hard to replace. So if the Flames have notions and designs on why can't we be next year's version of Winnipeg this year, which I don't see any reason in which that's unreasonable, then I don't think it makes sense for them to be in that market. And in fact, having recently checked in, I don't think they're in that market to sell. So his name may pop up for a lot of the same reasons that I just mentioned with other teams. If someone comes along and blows the doors off their barn, so to speak, well, then you'd probably have to consider it. I think it's very difficult to replace those two players in particular. And outside of that, how much interest do you really think there would be in Zadorov or one of the other defensemen, Hanifin, to go out and move those guys?
I think Hanifin is it's a different conversation. He's I have less problem with him being in a top four than I do Nikita Zadorov.
I think they're totally different cats. Yeah.
Now, Rhett, just back, you were nodding when Frank was making that point about sometimes you fall too in love with your own guys and you covet them too closely. Is that where you were agreeing with Frank on that?
It's a huge issue. Yeah, I think it's a huge issue, and I think that you get praised for loyalty in some respects. You know, they always bring it up. Brent Seabrook. Oh, the Chicago did right by him and they paid him, but everyone else in the world was going, yeah, but he's never going to earn that money. There's no way this makes sense in a couple of years, right? And it's proven, and teams almost do it all the time. That loyalty thing is a killer. If you're a GM and you're being, sometimes you do it and you think that you're doing it right by the guy, and you're creating a place that, because you do it, you think that other guys are going to want to come play for you for some reason. Guys want to play for winners. And if you just focus on winning, you'll be a good GM. Don't get stuck being overcommitted to guys or falling in love with guys or being over loyal. I mean, I just think, and Frank talked about it last week, like how Carolina has managed their assets. They're the best. They don't feel overly loyal. And if you're not going to work for them and it doesn't work out in their plan, they move on from you and they fill spots. You never think that you're going to get the same return, and it doesn't always work out if you do make a change. But quite often in today's game, there's enough talent out there where if you give kids and players an opportunity, they'll perform. Get it right? So to be stuck thinking, well, this is the only guy that can do this and he has to be our guy, I think you're out to lunch. And that loyalty and that overcommitment can kill you.
So I have a couple points to add to that. One of my favorite quotes comes from, I think it's Blues GM Doug Armstrong, and he says, if you want loyalty, get a dog. Two would be, when you look at teams, the other issue that they fall into is they have to go out and move assets and move pieces around the chessboard when either A, what they have is already likely close to comparable being as good or as big of an impact, or B, the players that they have in the minors that they can call up aren't really all that far off from what they're using. And the third thing I would say is, as we go through this entire discussion, I'll let you in on a little secret of how the trade targets board works. Is a lot of times you'll hear a GM say publicly, we're not trading that guy. No way we would trade that. Why would we trade that guy? And privately, sometimes the conversation is, hey, put him on your board. See if I get some calls. Let's see what kind of interest this generates. And so there's always this push and pull of, I don't really want to move the guy, but damn, I'm really curious to see what happens when someone calls me.
Yeah, it's a game of asset management, right? If you can sell a pair for $1 today and buy one for 50 cents tomorrow, like, look at this. There you go. And I wonder about Toffoli. Like, it feels like a sell high type of a moment. I don't know that you want one GM's vision if there's going to be another GM in the summer. If you trust this GM to sell and he's back, then by all means do it. I also wonder how Matthew Coronado might affect that. They're similar profile players, but he's unsigned. He's at Harvard. If they go all the way to the Frozen Four final, there'll only be 2 games left this year. I'm putting you on the spot, Frank, but do you have any intel on Coronado and Harvard, who you could argue is the top prospect in the Flames system right now?
I don't, but I thought it was really interesting to see San Jose pay a 3rd-round pick yesterday for Henry Thrun, who's also at Harvard and is also a senior and has, more or less told the Ducks, I'm not signing with you. That's the reason a deal like that ends up happening is you force your way to somewhere else. And so obviously the Flames know that pretty well. Do I need to bring up Adam Fox or no?
No, I think what's important
and
is
Harvard?
to bring up the difference at the circumstances. Fox was in his 3rd year at the time that trade happened, and he basically said, I wasn't going to sign. And rather than call his bluff and force him to go back for a senior year, they had him in that Carolina package. This is a guy in his 2nd season, and comments on the broadcast last night from Eric Francis says, he wants to chat with the team about a role on an NHL team, and he still, would love to sign with Calgary.
That's the situation that you force yourself into as a team is like, you may try and pry not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but this is how teams think about it now, is that you may actually have to pry the player out 1 year earlier than you want to avoid getting to the junior year summer conversation of like, I only need to wait it out 1 more year in order to have my pick of all 31 other teams instead of being shoehorned and wedged into your organization.
Yeah, and I know this is big on this might not be something that's on your radar, but I know a lot of Flames Twitter's talking about this, and there's all that scar tissue. Tkachuk, Gaudreau, Fox, like you can understand why this is a concern for the fan base. He could be a free agent in the summer of 2025, or he could be done his entry-level contract in the summer of 2025. I think that's a massive, massive point in this, that even if you don't want to be in Calgary forever, you could be into your 2nd contract at the time that if you wait it out, you haven't even played a game in the league yet. You're turning down a lot of money and earning power if you stay in school.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you want and what you value. I don't know. He's also at Harvard, so like I'm imagining that piece of paper also means something.
Totally.
Well, you went to Harvard, Frank.
Twice, didn't you?
I actually was a student at Harvard's Ivy League rival, Columbia.
There you go.
So the shitty school.
Yeah, the shitty school in New York that cost $1 bajillion.
You're a school of hard knocks guy, Frank. Come on, don't go to you're a hard knock guy.
The streets. That's your diploma. Street.
What's the hardest school in Philly? I feel like that's where you should have gone, eh?
Well, it would be Temple, where there's shootings on the weekly, and unfortunately, actually, really sad news. They had one of their police officers gunned down last week.
Jesus, Frank.
Damn it, Frank.
Why'd you have to go there?
We'll talk about trades.
Philly guy.
Patrick Kane.
Well, before that, is there anything that the Flames can do here? They lose to Boston last night. I don't know if it makes a difference. They got the Leafs and then the deadline. If you buy, it feels very risky. If you sell, it feels like your coach is going to be sour. He's not here to put a rebuild together. It's very
sour.
Precarious.
He's sour on the best day. Like what do you mean sour?
Because you talk about Toffoli. Break that news to Daryl. Hey, the guy you want to cup with and who's leading your team in goals, we just shipped them off for a pick and a prospect. How's that?
It would probably be really satisfying to a lot of people's faces in that front office to break that news.
Continue.
No, I was just kidding. I just think it's been
it's intention there. No,
battle.
Is that not what that joke comes from between front office and coach?
What's that?
Are you hinting at tension between the front office and the coach, or not at all?
I just think there's been tension between Daryl Sutter and everyone this year. And I'm not that's not an exaggeration. Like, I think from top to bottom, from start to finish, there's been tension everywhere. And I think it's been we've touched on this a million times. So if you're watching now, go back and watch in October and November and December and every other time we've said it, that there has been tension and friction here. And it has not been a fun place to be at times.
Patrick Kane, Rhett, as you were saying.
Ah, there we are.
Yeah, Patrick Kane. No, how often have we seen that before where a deal gets done?
Wait,
and
hold
then
on a second. Before we continue on with Patrick Kane, just to close the loop on the Flames and the buying aspect, I'll tell you right now, they feel that the prices are high for what they're looking for. And if they're going to be buyers, I've been saying this the whole time, they're going to try and wait out the market as long as they can and find value adds for inexpensive prices to see if they can boost their team. And whether that
What?
goes until Friday at 3 p.m. or now, to not have to spend a lot to improve the team, that's what they're thinking.
Walk that crazy prick GM out the door then if he's talking about adding.
Give
What
some
are we-
context on a deal, Frank. I think that's
Okay, so
important.
let me give you an example, okay? And I'm not saying this guy and this situation is going to present itself again, but last year, the Carolina Hurricanes got to 250 something ahead of the 3 p.m. deadline and said, holy smokes, no one has traded for Max Domi. And in fact, I'll take it one step further and I'll tell you that I actually got a text and nearly tweeted it that said Max Domi was not traded. That's how late this deal went. And he ultimately went for a 6th round pick, and another conference rival in Florida jumped in to broker the money for a free asset. That's how late this went.
That's how
And
cheap he was.
the Canes got Max Domi for nothing. And I'm not saying Max Domi is a playoff savior or anything, but he did score a game-winning goal in the first round, and they got to the second round, and that was it. So they're going to be waiting. Would you spend a 6th round pick for a player? Like, it's these players essentially end up becoming free 99 is what they become. And they are that. I'm not saying that's the only type of world the Flames are living in, but that's the type of, hey, we're going to view the market as a whole, find some inefficiencies if we can, not have anyone criticize us for buying, and see if a piece or 2 or 3, whatever it ends up being, can get us in and over the line to get in the playoffs.
Satisfied?
I think he froze. Rhett.
No, I'm not froze. I'm stunned because his
shell-shocked.
explanation makes sense, and I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like, if you can
Carolina
get a
was
clean-
also last year in a playoff position,
Yes,
so.
yeah.
But whatever, yeah, if you can add something for nothing, okay, yeah.
I love it when I
So
make
Patrick
sense.
Kane, Frank, try another swing. How often does it happen where you hear someone come out and oh geez, I'm kind of disappointed. It's essentially saying I'd have kind of liked to have gone there, and then if really, then let's restoke the fire and see if it happens, and then it does happen because that's essentially what happened with Patrick Kane, who becomes a Ranger yesterday.
It changed everything, those comments that he made publicly. And I'll give you an example as to how the reason why this trade took from Saturday till Tuesday evening is because the Rangers didn't have the requisite cap space to pull it off. And it's not because they didn't properly prepare. It's because they didn't think that they'd have the ability to get Patrick Kane. They assumed that the door was closed, and Patrick Kane assumed that the door was closed. And then he said that, and they said, well, hold on a second here. You mean we can get this guy still? Let's see what we can do to move the pieces around to make it happen. And they re-engaged. Kane was obviously still interested from Jump Street, and you could say that it was Kane reacting emotionally. I would say that Kane works with people that are way too smart for that, and that I don't want to say it was planned, but certainly feels like it was part of the plan.
Got what he wanted.
And that's what I mean, maybe does it hint that there was no collusion and that they don't talk? I just don't know how.
Well, they
the
were
Rangers,
talking.
how they couldn't have known that. Like, if Kane wanted it that badly, you knew Chicago was probably going to find a way.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Kane.
Do him right.
Cups, like his numbers going to the roof. That whole thing. You're gonna do right by that guy. How would the Rangers have been? Oh, geez, I guess we'll go get Tarasenko then. If they knew that, did they think they could get both? I can't imagine they did when they did the Tarasenko deal. Did they?
No, they thought that his hip was banged up And so he said those things and then went on a tear, scored 7 goals in 4 games and set a franchise record for most goals in that span for a player of that age. And gave the giant middle finger salute to everyone else in the league saying, oh, you think my hip's screwed up? Here you go. And that coupled with his comments, they were like, whoa, wait, we can get this guy and it might not cost an arm and a leg to do so. Let's do it. And that's where they work themselves into of, why don't we try and re-engage here?
God, how pumped is he going to be to be back in the playoffs, Retro? Like that guy, it's been so long since he's played legit.
In New York
as a
City?
legit
Are
shot.
you kidding me?
Any
Put him at
American
MSG. You think it was wild in Chicago Stadium? Madison Square is going to be a nuts show. And he's going to perform. I am fully convinced that he's going to go out and dominate.
And he doesn't have to be their best player. Like they've got Zibanejad, Pinder.
Yeah, but he wants to be your best player. He's good enough to be your. You watch. He's going to be.
If he's their third or fourth best player, he's still fucking awesome. Like that's how deep they are up front. This is New York's, and better than that, it's their biggest rival, arguably. I mean, maybe the Islanders, that they're going to probably square off in round 1. Like this is going to be unbelievable.
And you saw what he did for Kubalik and DeBrincat and guys like that. What if you've got
Suter?
Yeah, what if you've got friggin' Kreider and Zibanejad?
Yes,
it's going to be Panarin. Panarin, he's going to be right there where Barclay Goodrow is. You can take him and move him down to the 4th line.
Back with Panarin, hey? Cooking again.
100%. Hey. Kreider, Tarasenko, and Zibanejad, Panarin, Trocheck, and Kane. Boom. Kid line, 3rd line, and you move Goodrow down to the 4th.
How great for those young kids, too, to have guys like that to learn from. Like Lafreniere and Capo Caco. Like, are you kidding me?
Pretty good.
And they're good in goal. They got a Norris caliber guy in the back end.
And a heavy hitter.
Let's go.
Fox and Trouba,
yeah. I don't know why I'm okay with this. I feel like in the past, or a lot of times you'd be sour about it, but I just look at all of those names. It's an all-star team. You made it work under the cap. Go get it.
So we've seen this massive loading in the East, Frank. We talked about the Rangers' big deal. Devils go get Timo Meier. You've seen in the Atlantic, Boston, Toronto, and Tampa load up. The one team out of the big 6 in the East that hasn't made a huge move is Carolina. They have $10 million in cap space, so they take Puljujarvi for free. Decent gamble. See if it works in a different environment. But they haven't added a significant core piece. What do you see the Canes doing here? And especially calling back to your, frankly speaking, you had the owner on a few weeks ago. Do the Carolina Hurricanes make a huge move, and what are they shopping for?
Well, they're shopping for help up front, and that's no secret. They were originally thinking winger. I think they're now wondering about center, and they're looking for players with term. They don't love rentals. And one player that they've keyed in on in recent days and weeks is Kevin Hayes from the Flyers. The Flyers are willing to retain salary. Hayes is at $7.15 or somewhere in that neighborhood. If you can get Kevin Hayes at $4.5 or $5 million, that seems to make a lot of sense to me. He's had an excellent year offensively. I think there has been, maybe it's the buzzword of the day, friction between Kevin Hayes and John Tortorella, the all-star this year being the healthy scratch. 3 more years of torts. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. So if the Flyers can find a way to move that contract and get something of real value in return from Carolina, which I think would be interesting. Carolina's not alone. There's a number of other teams that are in the mix for Kevin Hayes, but that would be one. I like that piece from the sense of, you've got Aho, and then you can go Hayes, Stahl, and then bump Kotkaniemi down to the 4th line. That seems to set up a pretty nice spine for the Carolina Hurricanes to build around going into the playoffs.
Any truth to the rumor that there's some JT Miller smoke out there, or is that crazy? I know there's an injury seems to be interfering, but the thought that you could move a guy, what is it? His extension of 8 years kicks in next year, if I'm correct, at Big Doe?
7 years, $8 million for a total of 56. Starts on July 1, which is also the day that his no trade clause kicks in. So look, this is the best way to explain where the Canucks are at. They're open for just about anything. Pedersen's off the board. Demko's off the board. I believe Quinn Hughes is as well. But after that, all bets are off. And so I think what teams have done in the meantime is they're already keeping an eye on what the free agent market looks like this summer. It's going to be really thin. And so teams are saying, well, would we sign JT Miller to a 7-year, $8 million contract? Does that make sense for us? Does it meet market value? And the answer more or less has been yes. It's not terribly out of whack, especially if you think JT Miller is a center. Here's the issue. I don't think this is going to develop before the trade deadline. It's possible. Enough teams have talked about him. But the Canucks are looking for a young NHL center to trade for first. So I'll tell you this. If they trade for a center before then, that means JT Miller is on his way out the door. And if they don't, this is going to wait until the summer, if at all.
So with so much action being done, and we'll let you go here. The Daily Face Off has got the big show coming on
4
Friday.
hours.
Is there still? It's not going to be the huge magnitude in terms of name value, it seems. But is it still going to be a busy day? Are you going to see the second, third liners, third, fourth, depth defensemen, that sort of thing still happening, or are we just at a point almost where teams have spent their capital, what they had as far as trade assets, they've spent it and it's done?
Well, I think there's enough teams in the West to make it really interesting. Like, we didn't talk at all about Vegas. You just touched on Carolina in the East. I think Pittsburgh, I'd be surprised if they don't do something. Dallas, I'm not convinced is done. Minnesota is more or less done after getting Nyquist and Johansson. But Vegas is there. I still think LA is poking around on a few different things. Seattle is up for anything. The Edmonton Oilers have one, if not two more trades to make now that they have cap space. And I still think the Jets are squarely in the mix to continue to add as well. So are they going to be the big name players? I can't say for certain, but I will say that I feel really confident in characterizing this week since Monday as the NHL's wildcard week, because so many of the big name rentals are gone that it's forced teams to get creative, and we may see a few good old-fashioned hockey trades between now and Friday.
Chychrun's the biggest name out there and probably the first name out there. This goes back over a year. What's the latest? Final one for me, sorry.
I can't imagine this team keeping him and trying to put that genie back in the bottle. I really can't. 15 months, he's requested a trade. He's been a good soldier. He hasn't started to say anything publicly. He wants to go. And this is now approaching 3 weeks as a healthy scratch, waiting to go, which, by the way, has impacted his trade value because teams are like, there's only 6 weeks left in the season. I don't want to spend 2 of them trying to get this guy back up to speed. That hasn't helped. And the Coyotes need to adjust their price. The Blue Jackets did on Gavrikov. They were asking for a first, a third, and a fourth. They end up trading Gavrikov for a first, Korpisalo for a third, and they take on Jonathan Quick. You have to adjust. You have to be nimble. And I know that Chychrun isn't a rental, but you cannot reach 4 p.m. on March 3rd and still have him as a member of your organization and say, hey, come on back. Let's just put you back in the lineup for March with our 28th place team in the NHL. We'll try and trade you in June. I just don't see it.
Kenny Dadonov, right? They had to do that in Vegas. Before, and you brought it up, and I did want to ask before I let you go, because you tweeted about it last night, the LA Kings deal with Columbus. I can't imagine Jonathan Quick thought he was leaving. Ever. And do you have anything you can share there? Because he's a volatile, he's a fiery guy at the best of times. He was some sour, I guess, last night.
Oh, without a doubt. Like when I tweeted that, the things that were flying into my text message inbox, I said, unhappy is an understatement. And I saw the reaction from people on social media, and they were saying like, you idiot. Did he really think that signing a 10-year, $58 million deal that he would end the contract there? And I said, well, when you're 6 weeks from the finish line and your team is going to be a playoff team, yeah, even if you had a down season, I'm pretty sure that you were thinking they're not going to do me dirty now and trade me somewhere else, let alone to the worst team in the league in Columbus. I'm sorry. That's not what Jonathan Quick was thinking as he arrived in Winnipeg for yesterday's game. So this sent shockwaves throughout the LA Kings dressing room. I'm sure they'll regroup today and realize that their team is probably better and better off for it. But that is an enormous piece with a jersey in the rafters, a statue out front to sort of unceremoniously dump right now. And I'm told Quick is in a holding pattern. Quick is in LA. I don't believe he's rushing to LAX to get on a plane to Columbus, and that they are trying to facilitate a trade somewhere else to move him to a playoff team where he could hopefully at least get back in the mix. But man, what a mess that is.
We're back to that loyalty thing we started with.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say, so like, do you credit Rob Blake for making a tough deal if he thinks that's the one that can make them better, or do you finesse that differently if you're Rob Blake?
Personally, I think it says a lot about you and your franchise and how you treat people. Certain people are in different categories. And a Conn Smythe winner that's delivered two Stanley Cups there, your only 2 Stanley Cups in franchise history. When you are this close, you find a way to keep him and allow him to retire and ride off into the sunset. Here's where I get hung up on it. One, if they really needed to make the money work, they have a ton of defensemen that they could have moved back in order to do that. And 2, they essentially chose to go with Phoenix Copley, who's a 31-year-old journeyman, not a world beater by any stretch of the imagination, whose game has been very average at .901 save percentage this year. I know you re-signed him to a contract for next year and beyond, but this guy was on the scrap heap the last number of years. He's 17-4-3 with a .901. I can't explain that. You tried helping me with that, but to pick Copley over 6 more weeks of allowing Jonathan Quick an exit of his choosing, I think to me would have been a way better way to handle it.
Fuck, we'd kill for 901 here in Calgary.
901. Fuck, we'll put a
where do you
statue
sign
up
for
that.
some 901?
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, thanks, buddy.
Kari Ramo around here.
Give us the details. Friday, you're going all out.
Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern to 4 Eastern, an hour after the deadline. So 10 to 2 Mountain Time, and we've got it all covered. A full slate of our analysts and experts, former players. None of the guys from the Barn Burner show, which truly means that you'll get some actual insight. And if you want to creep on me with the insider cam that we have going, presented by Athletic Brewing, I'll be in the top right corner of the screen, and you can kind of watch me work if that is of any interest to you. And I would say it's likely of interest to no one.
Dean, I think we should go to a live look-in or two on Friday and really see how the insider works.
I'll be very curious to see how the insider.
I feel like that could only go well for everyone involved.
Brush the crumbs off
picking your nose,
off your shirt.
Let's go.
Thanks, Frank. Good luck on Friday.
See you guys.
Now,
and the biggest move of the day, it's depth defenseman Mike Riley's salary being moved from Boston.
Yeah, that's a haul. But either way, you know what? Before we go, do you agree with what he was saying about Jonathan Quick there, Rhett? Because
it's both sides of that argument, isn't it?
It's
but it's not, because there's ways of doing it as well, right? You can move Quick without, or keep him and still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
I'm looking at the salaries, and that's probably where it gets tricky for them, is that if you believe Korpisalo and Copley are better than Quick, you're hurting his feelings one way or another. And look, if they go on and win a couple of rounds, I think time will heal all these wounds. But they clearly thought they needed an upgrade in net, and the 2 guys they started with are now both gone. Cal Peterson's in the minors. and quicks out. It stings, but it's kind of what you said. Like the teams that do the best are the least loyal in a way.
And that's just it. I'm sorry, he can be pissed off, and if he doesn't want to come back for a jersey raising ceremony, that's his prerogative. If you're that mad,
It's
then
fresh,
don't.
right?
Yeah,
right.
And that's the thing. He had to get on that plane last night
Oh,
with
God.
the Kings after knowing he was dealt. Now you see that on the screen there. Sorry, Alex. That's a good deal for the LA Kings. If you believe that Korpisalo's a step up, because like Frank was saying, Gavrikov was going to be a first and a third and a fourth. You got for a first and a third, the goalie and the defenseman. And you're going to move the goalie out because you got the extra body. From Rob Blake's perspective, that's a hell of a deal.
Well, and I would look at the LA Kings and what they do well, and I think team defense is a pretty good strength. And I would look at what the Columbus Blue Jackets are, and I don't think that describes them at all. Like that decor was atrocious, the two viewings we had this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a better version of Korpisalo there, and Gavrikov solidifies them on the back end, a group that already was pretty decent.
And it truly is such a kick in the balls.
It is.
Sorry, Columbus, but last place and from Los Angeles.
But why doesn't I mean, if Columbus wants to do him a solid, that's who should do him a solid and say, "Don't worry about it, bud. Stay home."
Yeah, well, and that's what Frank was saying. They're shopping him around. No contender's going to want him. He's not playing that well. But like, if you're Columbus,
what the hell's bringing Jonathan Quick into Columbus for 6 weeks for? I mean, hey, if you want to come quick, go ahead. Like,
well, and they got Tarasov and Merzlikins anyway. It's not like there's lots of crease time. They'd love to get more Tarasov in there. That's the next in a long line of Columbus goalie prospects, and maybe one of them will pop for more than a year.
We're going to get to all of the trades from yesterday. There were a bunch of them. Pinder report coming up, but this morning, just earlier, and again, I don't know when you're listening to this, but concert announcement was made at the Griegel.
Oh, we heard about these last week.
Tickets went on sale this morning for only 40 million albums sold worldwide, fellas. Only 40 million, as REO Speedwagon is coming to the Grey Eagle Event Center.
You want to sing one for us?
I mean, where do you start? Where do you
a little bit.
I just keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I want to do.
Usually you're better.
I don't want to sleep. I just want to keep on loving you. Bangers.
Even better than that if you're in
bangers. Take it on the run, baby.
Did you take it or take it?
I can't fight this feeling anymore. Tickets on sale now. Ticketmaster.ca. Go see REO Speedwagon May 4th at the Grey Eagle Event Center.
Please don't let Boomer's enthusiasm and maybe less than perfect renditions scare you.
Row with the changes.
REO Speedwagon is still wonderful. Don't be fooled.
Let's go. They're bringing in bands, man.
You got any more? That's 4 songs. You're the 5th off the top of your head. You're good at this stuff.
Some drawn.
I got to get that Strictly Hip to go to the Griegel. Let's talk to the boys. Bring the hip.
All right, let's go.
Once you get your drug charges cleared up, you come back, you can host that thing. Let's go.
Hey, you dumbasses. Dumbasses?
Yeah.
Clear me a spot. Clear me a spot in that room.
All right.
He's been flirting with coming home, but we got to, like, for the last month, he's sort of been muttering about returning.
Kick Rob Kerr out. Get him out of the way.
Get that son of
clear me I need a mic.
I have a calendar, Rhett, and let's just play a little game, and we're not going to hold you to it. This isn't a court of law. If I flip the page, that would be April. And if I flip the page again, that would be May. If I was going to see you in Calgary, would I need to flip one more page, or would the next 2 be ample? March, April, May.
More than ample.
All right.
That's an excuse for a great party.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just it. I'm not coming back unless there's a reason.
Yeah, the retro return. That's what we call it. Sponsored by XYZ Liquor.
First stop is at Boom's house. We're going to have a big hug it out. Big hug fest. Share some buns.
So excited to see you.
Hamburger.
He's a really big one. Really big hug.
Like, oh, fuck, this is the guy that kicked me down the stairs.
Run!
I just
oh my gosh. Let's do the Pinder report, a presentation of Village Honda. They got everything going on. They're going to have, it sounds like there's another thing in the works, another
big night coming up.
It's a good thing they got that big sheet that they lay over the vehicles to do the unveiling, because, maybe another one in the works. That's what I'm hearing. The new Passport Trail Sport, as we say, the CRV Hybrid. And, of course, they're looking to fill their lot with used cars. If you've got a car, you're going to sell it to Village Honda. No hassle, free appraisal done today, and you will get your cash in 24 hours. Guaranteed. VillageHonda.com, the website in the Northwest Auto Mall. Your dealership for life. Here, the Pinder report.
Oh, life.
Oh, life.
What a game by the Flames last night. And in Flamesy fashion, season high in shots, season worst for the Bruins in shots for and shot against, and a classic OT loss, the 13th loss beyond regulation for the Calgary Flames. One of their better efforts outside the crease of the entire season, albeit against a team on the second half of a back-to-back. But that same team does play a lot of back-to-backs, Dean, just like every team in the league. They've only lost 8 times at hockey. Not at 3-on-3 in the shootouts. 8 times at 5-on-5 hockey all year. On Afterburner, we talked about, what could have been, our cheers to the game, buy and sell, and the fact that the Flames fucking suck beyond regulation.
It's hard. It feels, at least as I sit here, and it's another loss, and there's a lot. On a lot of nights, you'd sit here and be, hey, how about that effort? Let's get ready for Toronto in 2 nights. But it just feels like it's another point. It's their 13th loss in extra time. Jesus Christ.
5-13 now.
5
They are now 0-14-3 when trailing 0-14-3 when trailing after 40 minutes. They had a lead again in the third. And that's why it's hard to be so down on this group, because it's the slightest of margins. Another 1-goal loss, another category they lead the league.
Lead the league in.
Yeah. Not ideal. Now, I was looking, the Dallas Stars have 13 overtime
Points.
losses. So you can still be in the playoff picture.
Oh, it's by all means, it's better to gather a point than none, but there's been a lot of third periods where they looked like they had 2 points tucked away and they end up settling for 1.
But they also came back. They did a bit of everything last night, the old Flames.
They did. I will say this. Outside of the crease, I've really liked the 18 skaters the last week and a half. Ever since that pants soiling at home against Detroit, it's been really good. It's been a tough time for goaltending to abandon them to a level we haven't even seen until now. It's tough.
You know what I did?
2-on-2 against Colorado, 2-on-4 last night to start for Vladar.
I chortled out loud when that fucking puck went by Vladar on the blocker side.
First or second?
It was like shots, 1-0, 2-0, 3. Oh, almost. Oh, yeah.
6-0.
Whiff. 1-0 Bruins. Oh, fuck. It's like, of course. Now, because Vladar was the better of the two, now he looks, what does he look like, Rhett? What's he doing?
He's a sieve.
He's a sieve, that's right.
Out.
He's sieving out.
He's sieving like a true sieve would sieve in the sieviest of sievy times.
He's doing his best sieve that he can.
Oh, and it's
his sieving is reminiscent of Markstrom's sieving. A lot of similarities in that sieving.
There's an infectious outbreak of civitis in the goaltending room.
Did it go off a stick? Could he not see it? No,
they gotta bleach that gear. They gotta spray that shit down and get that off there. That sieve is all over it.
Second goal. That's a good. Did it go off Dubé or anything? No, it was just
this was the goalie tandem.
It's a knuckler into the top shelf.
This was the goalie tandem.
Oh, puck! Ah!
They allowed the fewest goals 5-on-5 in the entire league last year. Same 2 guys. You didn't have to do it again. Just don't be the fucking third worst in the league. And here's some bad luck and circumstance involved here. Their shooting percentage is over 1% below league average. Their save percentage is 1.5% down. Those don't sound like big numbers, but over the course of playing 60-plus games, 25 more goals, 24 fewer should have happened. Okay, well, let's account for shot quality. Next tweet from Pike. Adjusting for shot quality is important because a shot from the point isn't the same. But even when you factor in They should have 15.7 more goals and 16.8 fewer. Go look at their goal differential in the standings if they're fucking 31 more in the right direction. They should be winning this fucking division.
I don't know if shot chances against matter because they just let any in anyway. So if there's a shot in the first period, you just got to shit your pants. That's what.
Oh, yeah. You lose 4-3. How many scoring chances? 2.
Yes.
They scored 4 goals on 2 scoring chances.
I would think
that's correct.
Last night was the 8th time this season they've allowed a goal on the first shot, but the goal on the first even chance, it's got to be a huge number this year. That
maybe
is
never before. Maybe never before. Sorry, Ryan, but it's possible never duplicated before in the NHL. Like this might be epic stuff. If someone could do the research, I don't know how, but it's possible this is record book stuff.
Yeah, like I don't know. You don't keep those stats.
No,
I feel like we are watching something historic.
I feel like last night fans of the Dome got to watch 2 historic things happening. The Flames' unbelievable shitty early goaltending, and the Bruins, which might be the greatest regular season team in the history of the league. What a treat for the fans.
You know what's happening now? You know what's happening?
What's happening?
Is people are sending me friggin' Kari Ramo stats.
I saw it on social. If you're clamoring for Kari.
Bring back that dope. If I'm leaving town, are you packing your stuff? Boom. It's worse.
You'd take Kari's 9/11 right now, wouldn't
My
you?
God.
Jesus. Okay, we'll move on. That's the Flames story there. Let's look at the standings real quick. I believe that's where we're heading next. Calgary Flames by points percentage, 10th.
Oh, so Nashville, who's sold off.
Yeah.
They're bona fide sellers.
Ekholm, Johansson hurt. Apparently
Tanner Jeannot
gone. And yeah, like you get it too. You get it. Like when you watch the 5-on-5 play they've had of late, you're like, shit, man, they're just a save away. Nashville ain't a save away. They're getting the saves from Saros. But still, it makes it an incredibly difficult deadline to make sense of.
You can't critique.
Rational. Anything else is you twist yourself up in a knots trying to figure out.
You can't critique the players, non-goaltenders' effort over the last couple of weeks. I don't know how many games it is. Right? Yeah, they have shown
post All-Star break, right? We talked about it last night.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers, Flyers. There was that one game against Detroit, but outside of that,
2 games against.
But
Detroit.
Since the All-Star break, that one before it was brutal. But they've been good, and you feel like they've scored enough a lot of nights. They've looked all right. They've been able. And the thing about last night, Retro, they're down 2-0 on 2 shots to this team.
Shitty shots.
They didn't sulk. They kept coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's like they know they're not going to get a save.
Here's your schedule. We showed this to you a couple days ago. It don't get much easier. Now, that is the best team in the league, so technically it gets easier. But Toronto is loaded up, and they'll be excited. They're also coming off a back-to-back. They play in Edmonton tonight. Minnesota is a team they're trying to reel in. They play them twice in 4 nights, starting on Saturday, again on Tuesday. And oh, by the way, Dallas, there's a team that's led their division a significant chunk of the season. That's your next 4. And yeah, the old Swaparoo icon, that's Friday's deadline. 1 game. Here we are. 1 game until the deadline.
It's not good, but it's not dull.
No, this team hasn't been dull at all.
I fear that it could get dull post deadline and nothing happens and they get no recruits and the GM, GM didn't help us. And then you lose a few. I just wonder with a veteran team if the bottom could fall right out. But for the time being, I look at that's going to be.
They're working. They haven't quit now. Like,
are they? Is it going to fall out because they're still close enough? I guess a couple more games, but it depends on what the other teams do a little bit, right? Like they're still close enough. Team.
Those are 4 points, 2 4-point games in 4 nights.
Yeah.
If you drop 4 in a row, and they haven't done that, I don't think, all year in regulation. I mean, that 7-game skid, there was overtime points in there. They don't lose in regulation consecutively a bunch, more than 2. Like that's what's so maddening about this team. They're not quite bad enough to be like they're done.
Well, guys, and remember that Dallas game. Last time they were in Dallas, they scored
6 spot.
They scored 7 goals.
Yeah.
Well, and won by 1.
Yeah, they blew a 4-goal lead. No sweat. Jesus.
That's a tough trip.
Shit, yeah.
You think? Back to
Dallas to flipping Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I call it the Wolf, and you need 3 goals.
That's horseshit. Holy.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep moving. Lots of trades. We got to get through them. That's where we start with the NHL. We have many trades to announce. Please get a glass of water and be seated.
Did you know Gary was here yesterday, bud?
He was here. Gareth.
I did. I saw him.
Positive things to say about the event center.
This rink might become uninhabitable. Thanks.
The Flames are no longer looking for an arena. Negotiations are over.
This rink is past its due date.
It will be quarantined soon. What do they call it? It's not quarantine.
Uninhabitable was the word he used. I laughed out loud, much like Rhett did there. It's like, yeah, it's pretty close to being uninhabitable.
I love that old dump. It's a beauty.
Yeah.
No, when you got to go for a piss, the new rinks are much nicer. Go to Buffalo. When you got to pee, go to Buffalo. No problem.
What about shit?
Stand in line.
What about
Don't shit at a sport event. What are you doing?
What? I took it.
Pro sports. What?
Rink dump?
I know a guy that had to go at the end of the 9th inning of Game 1 in the old Yankee Stadium. Game 1, Boston versus Yankees, and he had to go at the end of the game, and the whole restroom was on him. What in the are you doing in there? Whoa, that is disgusting.
A pro sports dump. Something's gone horribly wrong. You've got to be better at life than that.
So in Oaf, Montador?
No, he said.
I'm not
the
saying.
Yankees.
Oh, I was gonna say you got to. If I get 3 guesses and again, you got to tell me.
Nope, not for the first one.
All right,
nailed it. All right, chronological order. Jesse Puljujärvi. We mentioned it yesterday on the show. There it is, an unsigned player in Finland. It's clearing cap space for the Oilers. Why are they clearing cap space? We'll get to that in a moment. Minnesota, a couple little tweaks. Johansson coming in from Washington. Decent middle 6 guy, 3rd round pick. Okay, the Wild are saying, look, this division's wide open and we don't want to fall out. I get it. Not their only move of the day. Toronto, incredibly active. We saw the McCabe-Lafferty deal the day before. Yesterday, a couple more out. Young, promising former first rounder Rasmus Sundin back. Forever a Flame. Eric Gustafsson, who can run a fucking power play and can't defend worth shit, with a first rounder coming back. So at least have a first now. Interesting. Pierre Engvall, done with the Leafs. Another deal for them. He goes to the Islanders. He's big. He doesn't hit. He's talented. They get a 3rd back. Okay, interesting. Toronto, not done. Luke Schenn, come back to where it all started. The former Leafs pick, back for a 3rd. Late 3rd. And the Canucks, yes, you weren't going to let this guy expire. Stop bluffing with that nonsense. Kyle Dubas going crazy. That's all a day after he pulls the McCabe-Lafferty swap. Lots of moves for the Leafs, who we see tomorrow night in Calgary. After that, why were the Oilers clearing cap space? Well, it's Mattias Ekholm coming in. He's exactly what they don't have, Rhett. Someone that actually can defend competently. We're talking about 4, 5, 6 career years the Oilers are witnessing. They're in a wild card. It might not all be about scoring at the other end. They swap out a defenseman having a career year for a guy that can play some defense. They also throw in their first rounder from last year, this year's first rounder, and a 4th. Interesting swap for the Oilers.
Peter's boy.
Is it? Okay.
It's not Peter's boy, is it?
Yes, it is.
That's Shafe. Shafe's got a kid old enough. Really?
Yes.
Is he from Yellowgrass?
Wherever, somewhere. Yeah.
If you go back to Yellowgrass.
JT Miller's from that East Palestine where that train derailed. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Friggin' Alex text. Former Senator Peter Schaefer.
I gotta do this right now. Schaefer.
He's paying attention.
Give him credit.
Peter Schaefer.
Just, we talk about this team a lot. Just a thought on this deal. I think it makes sense for both sides. There's 3 years left at over 6. He turns 33 in May, if I'm correct. I could see this not going well late, but I also could see Edmonton not caring. He needs to be good for the next 2 years. That's what they have for Draisaitl.
That's exactly what they need. That's a great deal. I think it's the move you have to make, and I think they should do another one to get another defenseman like Ekholm in there.
You go to free agency to try and get a guy like this. There's no guarantees they want to go to Edmonton. You have to either draft him or trade for him. I'm with you. It may not look good in the last year or whatever, but for right now, you had to do something on that back end. Had to do it.
It doesn't say his dad's. His father's Jeremy Schaefer. Rhett, hang your head in shame. Jeremy Schaefer.
That's the Schaefer I was talking about. Jeremy.
No, he wasn't a former senator.
I thought Peter Schaefer's kid.
All right, next deal. Let's go. After the Oilers get at home.
Jeremy, because I played against Jeremy. I think he actually was a Saskatoon Blade.
Another move for the Wild. Gus Nyquist. Fifth rounder. All right. He's hurt too, is that right?
Is he?
I don't know.
Hurt feelings?
I don't know.
He's all right.
It's okay. And the big one finally got done. They needed to wait until 5 p.m. when officially you start into the next cap day. Patrick Kane. Feast your eyes on this one, Retro. Kane to New York, going to Chicago, a second rounder that turns to the first if they get through round 2. If they don't, it's a pair of seconds the next 2 years. Okay, so first if they get to round 3, pair of seconds if they don't. They also get some other depth pieces. Chicago eats half the salary, and Arizona brokered the deal. They eat half after Chicago ate half to get them to a quarter, and they get a third for that. And it's always emotional when these guys leave, right? You think of the legacy a player leaves. Not forgotten on social media yesterday. Important to remember these guys. Legacy.
So like when a veteran leaves a team, you get the tribute kind of thing.
Like Jonathan Quick today, I imagine the Kings would be like, "Thank you, Jonathan Quick.
Right?
You meant so much to us. We love you."
We've seen a few of them. Ryan O'Reilly, the Blues did a nice one for Ryan O'Reilly when he left. He was a captain. Yeah.
And look at this. Thank you, Patrick Kane, Arizona Coyotes. They had him for a minute, Rhett. You'll never forget him. Never forget.
That's good.
It would be interesting to look at that list. And I mean, this is kind of a little bit different, but all of the salary money that they've eaten, like it wasn't Datsuk. And I think wasn't Pronger a Coyote for
Shea Weber's money's there. Yeah. Classic. It's quite an all-star team.
Cooper Zach. How about Cooper Zach winning the lottery?
Yeah, that's got to be fun, hey?
Sure.
Changeofscenery.com.
Cool.
So there you have it. Kaner to Broadway. And that's courtesy of our boy, Marty Rose.
I like that.
Marty, good stuff.
The photoshopping is janky on purpose. I like that.
That's Marty.
Yeah,
he's doing a good janky job, Marty Rose. Love it. And finally, some news today. It appears as if Detroit and Dylan Larkin are close on an extension. He's a pending UFA, Rhett. He's a good boy, and Detroit's on the up and up, but is he going to rake him over the coals? Well, I don't know. It kind of seems reasonable. 8.5 AAV, similar to the Horvat deal, 8-year extension. Okay. Cap's going up unless it's not. You hearing about this bankruptcy stuff for the Bally Sports? This is not good for the Cap.
Not good. Oh, yeah, we got all this money coming in. We're going to be great for next year. Cap's going to... Oh, shit.
Rhett, Blue Jays spring training is back, and I saw this note.
I was thinking about going. I got kids. I'm close. I could be down there in a heartbeat. Let's do it.
So last year, Yankees' own channel, yes, it broadcasts all the game. They averaged about 3,000.
Try again.
Oh, my God. 360,000 viewers a game. So it's just over a third of a million. The Blue Jays spring training opener nearly hit 500,000. And yes, I get it. There's 2 teams in New York. It's a city. Canada's a country. Either way, people excited, Rhett. They want to see you down there with your straw hat, hammering drinks at 11 a.m. Oh, what a life.
Screw the Raptors. Let's go, Jays. Come on.
Remember when he was tight with Josh Donaldson?
Yeah, you and Josh.
Yeah.
Bringer of rain.
And finally, a note for Rhett, who's concerned about you, Dean. We found something that Rhett sent this to me. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of wondering about the credibility, but we think if we can find these in Calgary, anyone let us know if you see these on the shelves nearby. This is potentially for you, Rhett. Or excuse me, Dean. This is the Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink.
There you go.
So 1, that's hilarious. 2, anyone who spent more than 8 seconds watching Bob Ross knows he's absolutely rolling in his grave over this. This is a blatant.
Oh, you know what? My
God.
daughter loves Bob Ross because
Who doesn't?
all the stuff's back on Netflix. That she's
Yeah.
got a Bob Ross like coffee mug
Why
and
not?
stuff in her. She
Happy
thinks
little
it's great.
clouds. Yeah.
He's high as a kite too. in that
Always.
picture.
You think he wanted anything to do with an energy drink on a shelf at a convenience store?
Just get some nice trees in the background.
This guy'd be repping weed well before he got into the energy drink
Oh,
field.
some
Bob
spruce
Ross don't need
trees.
energy. He zens out, man.
Just take your brush on the flat end and just kind of.
Okay, Boomer, have a big sip and some titanium white here.
Here's some nice white powder. Just hold it, put it onto the mirror here, and hold it up to your nose.
There's no mistakes. There's just happy errors. That's your Pinder
Yeah,
report.
good. Thanks. The Village Honda, good people at Village Honda. They bring you the Pinder report, your dealership for life. I meant mentioning the detailing packages. Another dusting of snow coming out. It's going to warm up at some point, and you're going to need a clean car. $79.95 is where the detailing packages start. Have it pristine. Have it done at Village Honda, your dealership for life in the Northwest Auto Mall.
Speaking of shit weather, I think we got another big storm coming to Western New York.
Yeah, and when you say that out here, it's like, yeah, no big deal. It's winter. When you say it out there, we've learned that's a different stratosphere of concern. A storm might mean you're stuck in your home for 3 days.
And it's never good when they start talking about it days in advance. Like, start prepping. I'm like, jeez, another one?
You're going to be a doomsday prepper if you weren't before. Like this Buffalo thing's going to play right into this conspiracy theory.
No, I got my MREs. I got my Berkey water container. I'm good. I'm all doomsdayed up.
So if he's watching Last of Us and he's living in Buffalo, like there's no way he doesn't escape the end of this hockey season without like a safety room and 6 months worth of supplies.
I was going to say over at the Griegel, they got a guy coming in, Matt Fraser, from the hit TV show on the E! Entertainment Channel, America's top psychic medium. Matt Fraser, New York Times best-selling author, over his dynamic career, conducted thousands of readings for clients around the world, sold out events across the country, numerous TV shows. His vibrant messages of hope and comfort and healing have touched the lives of all. I was thinking, you're a crazy person. You believe in like the psychics getting your palm read, the clairvoyant
tarot cards?
Yeah.
Why not? There's a lot of stuff out there you can't explain, Dean.
A lot of that.
I'll talk
maybe
to
take
Sheldon.
a few of those energy drinks, Dean. That conference thing sounds good for you.
Some tickets because I hear you're coming to town. Anyway, now we got to do this read, right?
Okay, yeah, do it.
We or you?
Why do I have to?
I'll do it next time. I don't have it in front of me. I mean, I could go find it.
I'd love to, but I don't have it.
Right.
Check your email.
He doesn't get his email on his phone.
Oh no, is that right?
Yeah.
This is awkward.
I know it'll happen. It's all right.
I just got to get
Oh, you're looking for it. I see.
key points to convey, tone of the read, call to action.
Good.
Do say this, don't say that.
Don't say
Who
that.
wrote this email?
Because we'll be able to cut this, right? Prince, you'll be able to take this and then
use it everywhere.
Use this as the MP. You'll be able to send this off. It's like, oh yeah, it was in the thing. So here's the right. Is that what we?
Yeah. Seems excited about it, doesn't he?
Look at that old bastard.
It's your biggest fan ever, right?
Look at that old bastard. Okay, roll tape.
Roll tape.
Are you rolling?
Rolling.
Roll tape.
Are we still live? Or are we off?
Yes, we're live. I got to do this thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's like you're back at the old place. Shit shows up and you don't know what you're doing. Tone of read.
Need some of that positive energy drink.
You figured that out, Pinder. So I went for coffee with Razor this morning, and we're just BSing.
Nice.
He is such an old. I tried to sneak a picture, but just imagine Rob Ray in his sweatpants and a shirt with his gut hanging out in the coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
And people walking in recognizing him, and he's got his finger in his belly button, and he's digging out like What a performance he had today. What
Really,
a performance. And he's shaved. He's got a beard, but apparently the mustache was rubbing it was irritating his upper lip. So he shaved that off. So he's just got the lower half. Oh, it was just gorgeous. Like, if you could have a reality show, it would be just first star every day.
Well, and I feel like you mix in the doghouse. You get to see him in a suit, well dressed, and doing his color thing that he's so great at. But then you also just get to see, this big gorilla walking around in sweatpants on his off days. I love it. I'm 5 stars. I'm whatever streaming service I'm subscribing.
I was dying to take some video and some feed of it, but it was way too obvious. I couldn't get it without getting punched.
That is a guy you'd worry about that with, I think. Okay, you ready to go, Dean?
Go, Dean.
Come on, Dean. You can do this.
Don't be nervous, Dean. You got this.
I'm not nervous. I'm just trying to
drink one of those energy drinks and nail it. Hit it out of the park, Dean.
Hi, it's Boomer, host of the Barn Burner podcast. Dean Barnes has completed a 100-plus card collection of all the black and biracial players who have made it to the National Hockey League, sourced almost exclusively from eBay. He is the host of the My Hockey Hero podcast. It's hosted by Dean. My Hockey Hero features interviews of the players from his collection, suitable for every hockey fan in the family. My Hockey Hero, sponsored by eBay Canada, proudly supports hockey equality and is available wherever you get your podcasts. Do check it out. The My Hockey Hero podcast by Dean Barnes.
My kids are jacked on hockey cards right now. Like, it is the currency that moves the needle in the house.
So listen, is it a big deal up there? Because everyone down here is into memorabilia. I don't know if we brought it up on the show before, but it's crazy. Coletta, the other day, he goes to this store and he buys this $600 pack of cards. And he opens it up and he's like, "Retro, I got a kaboom." And I'm like, "Oh, what does that mean?" It's a Joe Burrow. It's a Joe Burrow kaboom. And he's like, so then he said he was going to go out to eat with his girl. And he's like, but then when I saw it, I had to turn around and drive back. And he's like, I was holding it like this. And I didn't want to get like I couldn't go eat because I thought my fingers would get dirty. I'm like, what?
Keep it pristine.
And he's going to get it. He's going to get it. I don't know. What do they do with those paintings? They get it. Someone has to
certified or rated or something.
Yeah. It's worth thousands of dollars.
10. The corners are great. Yeah, the printing's perfect. It's a 10.
Thousands and thousands of dollars, this thing. And everyone down here is into it.
Yeah,
and I don't remember
NFTs,
hearing about it.
Beanie Babies, it's troll dolls, it's cards, it's all kinds of.
Who's that guy that played? Was it an NFL guy that quit to trade Pokemon or something? Was it Pokemon?
I know there's a former major leaguer that goes on in Twitter and talks about his card collection all the time.
I remember it was one of those goofy Paul brothers, Logan or the other Jake, the boxer. He came out to the ring that one time. He had this Pokemon card in a necklace that he had made. The card was like $500,000 or something he paid for it.
Insane.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Michael Groshek, when I was here, had the Beanie Baby collection.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is something that I think is very prevalent in American culture, right? The memorabilia collecting. Like, oh, you can't take the Barbie out of the box. We might need to sell that in 35 years.
Oh,
that could be
wait. This is crazy. Wait. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh.
Let's go.
Hang on.
All right. Well, can we do a thing?
He's in.
Rhodesy. You want to talk about Rhodesy?
Rhodesy? Yeah. Okay. I just I figured out who Rhodesy was. No, I knew.
I know.
I didn't know Rhodesy was Rhodesy's nickname.
Wolverine's in here today. Oh yeah, we got to talk about Rhodesy. Rhodesy, yeah, with the hearing loss clinic. While you were away, just hang on. I'm doing a thing. All right. The hearing loss clinic. Now I'm going to be going in for my hearing test coming up.
I'm excited for
We're going to get this thing figured out, get it done. And so too should you. You may not know that you have potential hearing impairment or that you have issues with your hearing until you go and get tested. And they're not looking to sell you gear. They just want to help improve your quality of life. And if you're having issues, visit one of the Calgary locations for an evaluation. 4 of them in Calgary. There's one in Shaughnessy, the University District, Northwest in the Crowfoot Business Center, and the North Hill professional offices. You don't need, doesn't mean you're old, or it's one of those things. It can be genetic, it can just happen, and serious health risks if you don't get it figured out and get it looked at. So the Hearing Loss Clinic doing great things for people, improving your quality of life. There you see the website, hearingloss.ca. And Rhodesy said, I got some, we give some stuff away.
Huh?
Look behind you. Yeah, there it is.
No.
So check out the social media for a autographed Elias Lindholm Blasty jersey. Has that got the tie down as well? This is the real deal. This is the real deal.
It's got the.
So go and check out
front.
the Hearing Loss. That's right. Tie it up, Lindholm. You
Let's go.
friggin' goon. Website hearingloss.ca. On Twitter at the Hearing Loss. Instagram the Hearing Loss Clinic. Or you can you're going to see the post on the FlamesNation social media as well. We'll link it up. There will be the instrucciones as to how to get in on that, and we'll give that away before long, probably
it's
next
nice
week.
of you to say it in Swedish because, Lindholm's Swedish fans have a great chance to win. Did you notice they went all Swede in overtime?
I didn't.
Backlund.
I thought Backlund was going to score. It looked like he really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But then it looked like Marchand really wanted to do it, and he did.
It did, yeah.
You know what it didn't ever look like? Jonathan Huberdeau wanting to shoot the puck. Poor guy. He's just not wired to shoot. He has to fight off every instinct in his body to not pass, and he couldn't do it in overtime.
Oh, they ruined it. My kids are.
So what do you
Can I
got?
say a-hole on here? Like, my kids, they're the worst. Listen, I might put this up for sale because obviously this sort of stuff is very expensive and lucrative.
Immensely valuable.
And I may offer it. I'm not sure yet. I might buy some time.
Okay, it's Flames jersey thing.
Uno.
So
it's an Uno
Calgary
deck of cards.
Flames.
What?
Uno. And I'm in this deck of cards.
No,
I am
way.
if you look closely.
Oh, you're four.
I am numero uno.
Wow.
Number one, baby.
That's unbelievable. Let's show us the other players. I saw Neon Dion in there. Who else?
There's a Damon Lankow. There's a Roman Hammerlick. There's a Matthew Lombardi, Kipper, Tanguay on the front. On the back, some Phaneuf, Huselius, and
Yes.
Iggy.
Was
Craig
it Hammer
Conroy?
that loved all the free gear?
Yes, the free
Yes.
deodorant and shaving cream.
He was the boomer of the Calgary Flames.
Okay.
2000 Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to make me an offer.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go $10.
10.
There's Blake
Get that.
Martinez. Yeah, he was a Raider. Wasn't that it?
There you go.
Yeah.
NFL
Who's
player
idiots
retired
now?
to sell Pokemon cards, making
Jeez.
insane money. So he's making more post-career than he did in the NFL.
Probably.
I guess.
I just again back to The Last of Us. This is really affecting me. This great series that was filmed in Calgary.
is.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse stuff. I don't know how much that Pokemon's gonna hold value when the zombies chase you.
Is shit hitting the fan like that, Pinder? Is this what's happening?
No,
Do we have
no,
to go to the Griegel to find out from this dude that knows this stuff? Is he going to tell us?
I
that
wouldn't
we're-
hurt to ask. It is a scary concept though, apocalypse and end time. Yeah.
Really?
I know I'm worried.
Oh, so it's Dean's looking forward to it. Could stay
Near
in
the
my
top of my
house.
concerns, yeah. If
Yeah.
it could get, I mean, TikTok. Get her
TikTok?
going.
You on TikTok?
Let's go. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to do some Ask Rhett. Get your questions in.
I got a great question for Rhett for tomorrow.
Questions can be sent via email. AskRhett@flamesnation.ca. We'll get them directly, and we will pose them to the Rhettster tomorrow on the Barn Burner.
Any room
program.
for more boof questions or no? Is that you hit it all yesterday?
If you don't say his name right, you're going to get headbutted. Buf.
Did I do better?
Buf, not boof.
Buf.
Buf.
Buford T. Yeah, good Buf.
And Buf would kick your
Headbutt
ass. So
me
be
if he was in the
careful.
studio.
You would. When's the last time you give someone a good headbutt? Maybe I should ask tomorrow on Ask Rhett.
I was in, where's Clark Wilm from? Oh, man, small town. Got in a big fight. Oh,
Shit.
anyway,
You got into a fight there?
Really?
And
the
headbutt.
guy hard. That's
So
what
not
started.
recently, then.
That's what started.
God, I had a
That's what started the fight. You think?
No, he
This
stole
has-
my.
I
No,
Jimmy.
wait. I was gonna say he stole my bottle of rye, but I may have stole his bottle of rye, and he didn't appreciate it.
Central Butte.
That's correct. Central Butte, Saskatchewan.
There's a guy back in Brandon. He loved
such
laying
an
out headbutts, but it was never because you were getting into a fight. He would just get, if you say what it was, you'd be playing the VLTs.
Yeah.
You hit a 4 of a kind or something. It's like yeah.
Oh,
Dude, fuck! Like, what are you doing? And for him, it was nothing. It was like giving you a high five. Oh, sorry.
it's
What,
like
that hurt?
headbutt and razor.
What do you mean? Does that hurt? Yes, it hurts, man.
Stop it.
Yes, he gets clunk. Just like that.
It's one of those bighorn sheep.
So Hope Street.
It's quite a show we do here.
Yeah, it is. HopeStreet.ca
We
is
should
the
have showed
website.
that to Frank.
Save your time. Get Hope Street. They'll manage that rental property of yours. Your tenants get those premium rental rates. You sleep easy. You don't worry when you've got Hope Street working for you. Canada's property manager of the year. Locations in Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary.
Vancouver.
HopeStreet.ca.
The log one's next. They go to the
Yeah,
brick
that's
and there's
right.
kicking, and then the log swings in.
You know what's great about when you talk about this show? I was talking to Alex yesterday, who is our producer, who's listening, and we were kind of
Ottawa.
going over just the,
Super
how clips make it into the show. And he says, well, with your show, it's tough sometimes because it'll be like highlight, and then man chased by bear climbs tree. So I don't know, is that for a different show? Like, is that not supposed to be there, or is it absolutely supposed to be?
He knows by now that's supposed to be there.
And I said, well, do we label it kicker or something? No, I just need to, just with your show, it's a little different. We just never know what's.
Be like Canucks lose in overtime, man hammers log into groin.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean,
Kane trade,
follow the script.
Oilers trade, tree to the balls. Yes, that's the right order, Alex. Good
Yeah, you
job.
got it. Good, thanks.
Betway Bets of the day and get
Let's
out
do
of
it.
here?
Yeah.
All right. Betway Bets of the day. What do we got tonight?
8 games.
8 games.
Just making up a number. I'm where I read it earlier. I believe it's 8.
Betway Bets of the day. Get that Betway app on your phone. Sniff around. Find the ones you like. Be 19. Be responsible. But do enjoy.
And by 8 games, I definitely mean 6 games today.
That's what you said. That's what you said. The Carolina Hurricanes, they have not yet, as of the recording of this, have not traded for Tyler Toffoli as far as we know.
Damn, boy!
They are in Vegas.
Ooh.
Give me the Canes money line and a Sebastian Aho point. Both of those happen. Plus 137.
How's
I
betting
like-
against the Vegas Knights gone for you as someone that lives in Calgary?
Well, I got more fun than Hurricanes.
Teasing you.
The Maple Leafs, they're in Edmonton to take on the Oilers.
That can't be right.
It's a power, you know what? That's my bad. It's a power play point.
That looks more like
A Mitch Marner power play point plus 140.
Love it.
So let's
That
go.
might be a fun
Those are
game
my-
to watch. I hate both teams, but that might be a
Back to
fun
back.
game to watch.
Edmonton, Boston. I don't know if you got it down in Buffalo. That was a doozy a couple nights ago, too.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what I got for you today.
I'm keying in on, I think, a fun matchup and 2 teams that I think have been playing deep into spring. The Devils, who just added Timo Meier in Colorado, who we know when they're not even healthy can be an absolute wagon. I'm going to jump on a couple big nights here. Dougie Hamilton, 2 points. That'll happen sometimes. Plus 300. And Val Nichushkin's playing top line with McKinnon and Lehkonen, the former Hab. 2 points for him, plus 260. I'm not going to go pay for the minus money on 2 points for McKinnon. Go get his line mate. Let's go. Betway Bets of the day.
There you go. Our friends at Betway, be responsible. 19 years of age, Ontario. Betway app on your phone. It's our Betway Bets of the day. I know
Aussie
tomorrow is
Brad.
Ask Brad.
We need some Aussie Brad.
Aussie Brad.
Aussie Brad, be aware the DUG is in your country, so look out.
Oh, he's asking to hook up. Can I
He
connect you
said
to?
if he landed in Brisbane. He's got to travel around. If you're into farming, he's got some great equipment he'd love to sell you and have a beer with you at your beautiful pad there.
So Brisbane's where
Trigger.
what? That's where she's from.
Yeah.
But Trigger and Aussie Brad are down just outside of Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Cheap flight. Just get down there. And Melbourne. So
Well,
oh,
that's
yeah,
no. That's where the
Cripples.
that's where the boss lives, Mr. Peter Jack. The boss lives in Melbourne, so
Oh, so he's
there's
going to be going down there anyway.
probably heading up. Yeah.
So you go to Sunshine Coast, get some Gold Coast in, Surfers Paradise, and down to Melbourne. Love it.
Yeah, Doug's going to work on his tan to start, get oiled up and ready to go down there.
A good base.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Look at that man cave.
Yeah.
Did Clark Wilm go down as well? Is he down in Melbourne?
Headbutting anyone?
Any headbutts?
Clarky's in Davidson drinking pints with Chad Allen.
Nice. Just blades
Look at this
everywhere.
spot.
I know tomorrow Retro is Ask Rhett, but mystery caller, mystery texter. I can't share who it is. But somebody wants to know how your sweaty brisket worked out in your stupid Instant Pot
I don't know who it is.
hot box from yesterday. I can't give anything away.
Somebody who that could be. Salt, pepper, brisket, delicious. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing.
He's disappointed, isn't he?
We didn't get photos of that, I noticed.
No, we didn't.
No, we got some
It's in my
French
belly.
fries yesterday. None of the sweaty meat out of your Instant
So, Rhett,
Pot.
if you're coming back, he's kind of floated it. We've nailed him down to the next 3 months, which means absolutely nothing because the wind could change directions and he'll move to Argentina. But if you're coming back, we're doing this up, and we're going to stop in at Greg's place and do something special. I feel like that has to be the play.
Oh, we're having an event. Yeah. Beyond. Well, we'll go see Greg. Now, why are you connecting Greg with the? Why are you
I'm with
insinuating that's who texted?
All I heard was mediocre brisket, and I know someone that does the best.
A lot of
I'm not
people
even
watch
talking
the
about
show,
text.
Ryan. They saw it yesterday
It was
or
a
whenever the
quick
hell it
transition, totally different topic.
was. Right. Sweaty.
I'll bring my
Sweaty
Uno. We'll play some Uno with
Oh, you can't open it.
Yeah.
Greg.
That'd be good. So tomorrow.
can.
Yeah. Game day for the Flames. Leafs in town. Ask Rhett. We have some figuring to do.
Gio's back.
That's right.
Rhett's not even here to run him back out of town again.
He came back to Seattle, so it's not a big deal.
I know.
It'll still be a big deal. Now that he's the all-time leader in shot blocks.
Take that, Chris Russell.
Hey?
Who was it? Was it Ludwig or
Frickin' Darcy Regier used to give me shit. Not give me shit, but hold it against me in negotiations because McKee would have more shot blocks. And I said, well, that's because he's standing in front of the effing goal and he's too stupid to get out of the way. You got the best goalie in the world behind you, and he's trying to block the shot? Like, what the? So I'm smarter than him. Like,
the great shot blocking wars and debates are not over,
Yeah.
Dean. They still rage on to this day.
Christ. Darcy.
Craig Ludwig's shin pads were
He was
they were
cheating.
hilarious.
There's a guy that got screwed by that stat not being collected until 1997.
Poor guy. Well, congrats, Gio. We'll see you tomorrow. And we'll see all of
Is
you.
he coming in studio?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. He'll be out boozing with Windwick tonight.
Yes, he will. John.
I
No
mean,
one's
I guess he's
happier.
got that
No
game
one
in
in the world
Edmonton,
is
but-
happier than John Windwick today.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Well,
getting
he'll be up in it.
My boy.
Hi, John. Good to see you. There you Look at that.
And did you see this yesterday? 2 days ago. This is before the trade. A lot of confidence. That's also what, a 2X, 3X? What are we looking at there? That is, whew,
Yeah, that's
a big set of eights.
she's tight.
That's an American male right there.
All right, let's move on. Let's get out of here. We're good, everybody. Good show, everyone.
Anyone else we need to take out of the knees for this thing?
Yeah, is there
ends?
anybody else that we need to rip right before we
Okay,
head out? No.
just before we go, I think I want to plant a seed that we should sabotage Seravalli somehow for shit talking us and not including us in his crappy show.
Do you think if we all sent him a bad scoop at the same time, he'd fall for it?
Hey, Retro was talking.
Yeah, right.
I'm hearing this in Buffalo. Hey, we're in Calgary. It sounds like
Yeah.
Tage
they're going
Thompson.
to move Jacob Markstrom to the island.
Look at Frank. Look at him.
That's a cleaned up Frank right there. That wasn't the guy we saw in Jasper after about 20 beers.
God, I wish I had that video from the cabin when all the pizzas showed up. Somebody has that video.
Right.
Seravalli he was hangry, so he got 5 extra large
5.
wheels. Was it more? 8
Nice.
wheels
Half
showed up.
does. Easy.
He was a hit. All right, buddies. We're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. And of
Oilers
course, as
suck.
always, there you go.
Get your ask correct questions
See you,
in.
buddies. See you tomorrow.
Beauf.
Beauf.